All right, guys, so today we're solving equations by factoring. What we've been doing is just factoring. Today we're just going to finish it up and actually get the solutions to those equations. The first thing we need to look at is what a linear factor is. A linear factor of an expression is a factor in the form ax plus b, which is what all of our factors have looked like when we factored all our trinomials. We always have something times x plus 4 or 6x minus 3. Now, if we look at the next two problems, it's pretty obvious what the answers are. I have 8 times something equals 0, and then something times a equals 0. And I want to know what that something is. Well, the only thing times 8 that would make 0 is multiplying it by 0. The only thing times a that would make it 0 is also by multiplying by 0. So the only thing multiplied by anything gives us 0 is 0. So if I take a similar problem like a times b equals 0, it says what must be true of a or b? Well, a or b must be 0. So that's kind of what we're going to use to do our solutions to our problems. So let's go ahead and go down to number 1. Now these are already factored for us. Like x times x minus 2 is really the factor after we GCF from x squared minus 2x. Well, what we're going to do is just like a times b equals 0, I know that x times x minus 2 equals 0. So one of them has to be 0. So I'm going to set them both equal to 0. X equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. Now just solve for x. The first one's already done. X equals 0. And the next one, we just add 2 to both sides, and we get x equals 2. The 2 and 0 are the solutions to that equation. So let's look at number 2. It's already factored for us as well. I have x minus 3 times x plus 4 equals 0, so take both factors, the x minus 3 and the x plus 4, and set them equal to 0. And now just solve for x. So in the first one, x minus 3 equals 0, I add 3 to both sides. I get x equals 3. In the next one, x plus 4 equals 0, I subtract 4 from each side, and I get x equals negative 4. So my solutions are 3 and negative 4. So basically, that's all there is to it. Once it's factored, it's fairly easy. So I want you to try number 3. So hopefully you tried out number 3 real quick. Let's go ahead and do it together. It is already factored for us, so we just set each factor equal to 0. So I have 2n minus 4 equals 0, and 3n plus 5, equals 0. Now we just need to solve for our variable. Now I want my answers in fractions. I don't want decimals. In the first one, I need to add 4 to both sides first. And I get 2n equals 4. I divide both sides by 2, and I get that n equals 2. There's one of my solutions. Now we just solve the other one. I subtract 5 from both sides, and I get 3n equals negative 5. And then I divide by 3. So my other solution is negative 5 over 3. So that's all there is to it. Now, some of them will be factored like those. Other ones we're going to have to factor ourselves. Like number 4. I have 0 equals 2x squared minus x minus 28. That is not factored. It is a trinomial. So first I need to make sure it's in the right order. I need it to be in the order of ax squared plus bx plus c. So I have my x squared first, my x, then my number, and I am good. And so I need to factor that by doing the swing method. So I need to find the sum, and I need to find the product. Well, the sum is negative 1. It's the b value. Our product is the a times the c, in which this case would be negative 56. So I need to start breaking down what 56. 1 and 56 won't work. 2 and 28 is not going to work. 3 doesn't go into it. 4 does 14 times, but that's still too far apart. 5, 6 doesn't work, but 7 goes into it 8 times, so that's a possibility. One of them has to be negative. If I make it negative 8, then 7 plus negative 8 is negative 1. So there's my answers. I come back and I put it in my parentheses. I have x plus 7 times x minus 8. But I have to do my division by a. A is 2, so I divide both of them by 2, and I simplify. So 7 over 2 is simplified, so I swing it to the front, and I get 2x plus 7. And 8 divided by 2 simplified will give me x minus 4. But remember, that equals 0, just like it did at the beginning. Now we're right back to where we were on the first 4. We just take both of our factors and we set them equal to 0. So I have 2x plus 7 equals 0. And I have x minus 4 equals 0. So again, I can solve them. The first one, I subtract 7 from both sides. I get 2x equals negative 7. I divide both sides by 2. And one of our factors is x equals negative 7 over 2. And in the other one, I just add 4 to both sides. So I get x equals 4. So my solutions are negative 7 over 2 and x equals 4. All right, guys, let's go ahead and go on to the next page. Now, this is the same thing. This is actually about as hard as it's going to get. We're going to have to factor these, but they're not in the right order. Things aren't on the same side. So remember, I want it to be ax squared plus bx plus c, but I would like my x squared part to be positive. So I'm not going to move my a squared to the right. I'm going to move the other two to the left. So I'm going to move my 5a first. So I'm going to add 5a to both sides. Now I have a squared plus 5a equals 24. And now I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. And I get a squared plus 5a minus 24 equals 0. So, I mean, this is the hardest problem we do today, and that's pretty much the hardest part. Now it equals 0, so let's do sum and product again to find the factors. The sum is positive 5. The product is negative 24. 1 and 24 is not going to work. Looks like 2 and 12 isn't going to work. Let's see, 3 and 8 looks like a good possibility. One of them has to be negative. So if I make the 3 negative, I get my positive 5. So there's my solutions, or my answers. So now I have a minus 3, a plus 8. But the a in our original equation is 1, so we don't have to do any division. So that equals 0. Now we just set them both equal to 0, and we solve. So I add the 3 to both sides, and one of my solutions is a equals 3. And I subtract 8 from both sides, and I get my other solution is a equals negative 8. All right. One more over here on the right. I have 6 minus 19x equals negative 3x squared. Now, last time we moved everything over with the squared term. This time, that squared term is negative, so I'm going to move it over to the other side to keep it positive. Now, if I rewrite that, I have 3x squared, and I'm going to put the minus 19x first and the plus 6, and that equals 0. So we're right back where we were. Need to find sum and product. The sum is negative 19. The product is 6 times 3, which is 18. So it looks like 1 and 18 might be an option, but I need negative 19, so I can make both of those negative. So I have x minus 1 times x minus 18. But my a this time is 3, so I divide both of my terms by 3. 1 over 3 is already simplified, so I swing the 3 to the front, and I get 3x minus 1. And then 18 divided by 3 would give me negative 6, so x minus 6, and all that equals 0. So now we just have to set those equal to 0 and solve, and we're finished. I can add 1 to both sides, and I get 3x equals 1. I divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 1/3. So there's one of my solutions. And the other one, I just add 6 to both sides, and I get x equals 6 for my second solution. All right, let's do the last one. The area of a rectangular room is given by the equation w squared minus 7w equals 18, where w is the width of the room, find the width. So again, we have to get this in the right order. I'm going to keep the w squared and the minus 7w over there, and I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. And I get w squared minus 7w minus 18 equals 0. So now I need to do my sum and my product. The sum is negative 7. The product is negative 18. 1 and 18 is not going to work, but 2 and 9 look nice. If I have negative 9, I get my negative 7. So there are my solutions, or my answers. So I have W plus 2, and I have W minus 9. Since my A, again, is 1, that's all I have to do, and those equal 0. All right, now we have both of our factors. Let's just set them equal to 0. On the first one, I subtract 2 from both sides, and I get W equals negative 2. Then on the other one, I add 9 to both sides, and I get W equals 9. Now, only one of those can be our solution. It asks for the width, but you need to think, can a distance be negative? And the answer to that is no. So it's the positive answer, W equals 9. If you have any more questions, come ask me in class, and good luck.